Chapter 41, Departure. Lu Yang went again to the stall selling baked flatbreads. The baked flatbreads were sold by a senior sister. She would ferment the dough, let it rest, knead it, and then slap it into shape with such practiced skill it was hard to tell how long she had honed her craft. The senior sister tore off small portions of the dough one after another, using her hands, wrists, arms, and torso, her whole body engaged in shaping the dough into a flatbread. Her movements seemed to follow a certain principle. This was not merely simple kneading, but also a way to train bodily coordination. She placed the flatbread dough pieces onto the forging table and began striking them fiercely with a large iron hammer. The blows rang out with resounding clangs as sparks flew in every direction, burning small holes into the ground. After quenching the dough in fire, cold water instantly began to boil and bubble, and before long a baked flatbread was ready. Lu Yang was amazed. Bai Feng truly had ingenuity in seamlessly combining fine cuisine with artifact forging. "Give me one baked flatbread." The items in the dining hall were indeed inexpensive. Lu Yang saw many eye-catching good things here. If not for his limited contribution points, he would have bought them all. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, Lu Yang, as agreed, met up with the two at the mountain gate of Wendaozhong. "We've been waiting for you," said Meng Jingzhou as he waved upon seeing Lu Yang. Behind him stood a carriage, the very same one that had taken them to Wendaozhong before, with the same old horse. The only difference was that the third companion had changed from senior sister Yunji to Mangu. Mangu studied diligently. Even while waiting for the others, he continued learning. His broad Confucian robe clung to his muscles, making him look very much like a tall, scholarly gentleman. "Aren't we taking the flying boat?" Lu Yang had already prepared to ride one. Although his technique of shrinking the distance was convenient, it could never match the speed of a flying boat. He temporarily gave up further study of the shrink the distance into inches technique, choosing instead to focus on mastering both the art of shrinking distance and the proper formation. Meng Jingzhou patted the carriage and said proudly, "My carriage is truly a rare treasure. It contains an internal spatial formation. While we feel it moves slowly inside, to outsiders it appears as fast as a flying boat." Come to think of it, the Meng family resided far in the imperial city, and Meng Jingzhou relied on this very carriage to travel from the Meng residence to Wendaozhong. It was impossible for the old horse to proceed step by step, otherwise it would take a whole year to reach Wendaozhong. The carriage employed its formation on the way to Wendaozhong, moving at incredible speed, only deactivating it and slowing down as it neared the sect, a sign of respect for Wendaozhong. What Lu Yang had seen earlier was precisely the carriage after it had decelerated. The three boarded the carriage, whose interior was as spacious as ever. Only now did Lu Yang understand the immense value of this carriage. "By the way, where are we going? What is our mission?" "Oh, did I not mention it to you? We are heading to a place called Qinghuaijun. The details, however, will be explained by Brother Mangu. After all, he was the one who found this mission." Placing a bookmark in the spine of his book, Mangu closed it and said in a leisurely manner, "I heard about this matter while on a mission from a passenger on a flying boat. He is a leader among traveling merchants and knows many things that ordinary people do not. He told me a story that circulates among them which carries a certain degree of credibility. Between Qinghuaijun and Yanjingjun lies a vast expanse of mountains rolling continuously. If traveling merchants wish to cross these mountains, they must be led by local hunters. In the forest, a terrifying presence has emerged, forcing the hunters to abandon the woods on which they depend for their livelihood." Underscore 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 underscore. Night fell. Overgrown tree branches blocked the moonlight, thunder roared, and heavy rain poured down, washing the ground into a muddy mess that left nowhere to step. 7 or 8 people had ropes tied around their waists, connecting them together to prevent anyone from slipping off the mountain and getting lost. All around, the rain pounded relentlessly, so even if someone fell and cried out, it would be hard to hear them over the downpour. They wore straw raincoats, leaned on hiking poles, and carried baskets on their backs, treading carefully with every step for fear of stumbling into a deep pit. The bone-chilling raindrops left them bedraggled. Looking up, the dense curtain of rain obscured their view and they could only follow the veteran hunter at the front. Watch your step, mountain paths are very slippery in the rain. Even if you're tired, do not stop. Push on, we're almost there. If you stop now, it will be hard to regain your momentum. I really can't go on, help me. I'm falling. Someone slipped, their body unable to find a foothold and slid toward the steep cliff at the edge of the mountain path. The traveling merchants, sensing a tug at the end of the rope and realizing someone had fallen behind, immediately halted and scrambled to pull the person back. Ayu, hold the rope tight? Let's pull together. I'm out of strength, Ayu said, hanging near the cliff, his waist secured by a thick hemp rope that prevented him from falling. Exhausted and hungry, he had little strength left, and even climbing up the rope seemed impossible. The veteran hunter, experienced and composed, calmly directed everyone while personally pulling Ayu up. You all, grab onto a big tree, don't let all 7 of us slide down. The rest, wrap the rope around your wrists. When I count to 3, we all pull together. 1, 2, 3, pull. 1, 2, 3, pull. With an enormous effort, the group finally pulled Ayu up. Already exhausted, they were so tired they could barely stand. The veteran hunter did not relent. He anxiously checked Ayu's condition. Ayu, how did you slip? Did you feel anyone push you? Ayu shook his head in confusion, not understanding why the hunter asked such a question. Of course he had slipped by himself. Could someone have caused it? Old son, what do you mean by that? Asked Chi Wu, the leader of the traveling merchants, who vaguely sensed an issue from the hunter's question. The veteran hunter shook his head and pointed toward a dilapidated temple ahead. Let's hurry on, we'll discuss it when we reach the mountain god temple. The heavy rain was hardly conducive to discussion. Chi Wu nodded, offered a few encouraging words, and urged everyone to quickly reach the mountain god temple for shelter. When they arrived at the mountain god temple, caring little for appearances, they removed their straw raincoats and flopped onto the ground, gasping for breath. Then they hurried to check whether the items in their baskets had been ruined by the rain. If so, their journey would have been for nothing. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Fortunately, we had wrapped them in waterproof cloth in advance. Brother Chi really had foresight. The mountain god temple was not particularly impressive, but it was spacious. 3 old, dust-covered statues of the mountain gods stood in the center, surrounded by soil and excrement. The plaques bearing the gods' names were nowhere to be found. The offerings had long been devoured by wild animals, both main doors had vanished, and the broken windows allowed a cold, biting wind to blow in. The group didn't mind. To them, any place that could provide shelter from the rain was a good place. Chi Wu took some goods from his basket as offerings and presented them to the 3 mountain gods, expressing gratitude for lending them the mountain god temple as shelter. The 3 mountain gods were carved from clay. The craftsmanship was not particularly refined, yet differences could be discerned. The central deity held a gentleman's sword with a righteous expression, while the deities on either side represented the literary and martial aspects respectively, one dressed in a Confucian robe holding a book for the literary role, and the other exuding pure yang energy for the martial role with clearly defined ranks and order. May the mountain gods bless our journey with safety. Chi Wu always felt that the 3 mountain gods possessed a vivid spirit, as if they were alive. Chapter 42, Legends and Facts Often Deviate. Chi Wu, after finishing the offerings to the mountain gods, quickly joined the rest of the group. The drenched travelers shivered under the cold wind. If this goes on, we'll fall ill, someone remarked. The old hunter walked over to a corner and retrieved a handful of firewood. Flashing his broad, toothy grin, he said, "We hunters sometimes take shelter here from the rain, so we left some firewood in advance for today's use." Chi Wu beamed, "Many thanks for that." The old hunter waved it off, "It's nothing. Living in these mountains is all about helping each other. Once the rain stops tomorrow, we'll gather some more wood and put it back." With nimble hands and feet, everyone quickly piled firewood onto the fire's mark on the ground. Chi Wu then took out a fire talisman and used it to ignite a small wooden branch. He inserted the branch into the dry wood and gently blew on it, fanning the flames until the dry wood gradually caught fire. Watching the rising flames and feeling their warmth, someone let out a long sigh. "At last, we're alive again." "Big Brother Chi, do you want a yellow rice cake or a white rice cake?" someone asked. "Both," then came the reply. One of the group distributed the dried rations. After everyone had their share, they placed the food beside the fire to roast. When the aroma filled the air, Ayu took out a jar of pickled vegetables and had everyone spread some on their cakes. One bite later, the cakes were filled with a burst of savory saltiness. "Ayu, your skill with pickled vegetables is really impressive. If you ask me, you might as well open your own pickled vegetable shop. Why stick with us traveling merchants?" Ayu just smiled and said nothing. Recalling the earlier scene, Chi Wu asked, "Old son, why did you ask just now whether Ayu was pushed off?" It was the first time Chi Wu and the others had ventured into the mountains. they planned to cross the range to sell goods in Qinghuaijun on the other side, and after a long search, they finally found a local old hunter to guide them. The old hunter's expression grew serious as he asked, "Have you ever heard of the Chang ghost?" Qi Wu and the others grew solemn. Having traveled far and wide, they naturally knew a few ghostly tales. One of them even shouted, "Are you talking about the Chang ghost that serves the tiger demon?" The old hunter nodded and lowered his voice. "This mountain is called Songshan. About 10 years ago, a hunter went into the mountains to hunt and then disappeared. Only a single shoe was left behind. At that time, people said that a tiger demon had come into the mountains and devoured that hunter. At first, people didn't want to believe it. They thought, having lived here for generations, how could a tiger demon possibly appear? But as time went by, someone said that while hunting, their hound started barking wildly in one direction. When he looked that way, his body froze in terror. They saw a resplendent fierce tiger, a full 4 meters in length. The tiger leaped at the hound and the man bolted. Luckily, the tiger didn't catch up. People also noticed that some individuals kept disappearing. They reported this to Qinghuaijun. When the officials heard about it, they sent me to Yanjingjun, saying that since Songshan is closer to Yanjingjun and you only sell your game to Yanjingjun, it should be under their jurisdiction. But when we arrived at Yanjingjun, the officials claimed that Songshan actually belonged to Qinghuaijun and should be managed by Qinghuaijun. After a few rounds of back and forth, each side sent 2 cultivators to search Songshan for any trace of the tiger demon. They searched for 10 consecutive days and didn't even find a single tiger hair. Those 2 cultivators felt that we had tricked them and wasted so much time. We explained that perhaps the tiger demon was deliberately hiding and dared not appear, but they wouldn't listen and left in a huff. We then went back to the authorities, but they no longer paid any heed to us. We had no choice. Most people left Songshan to seek another way to make a living. Only a few of us old-timers who knew nothing but hunting remained here. Later, we discovered that while hunting, we would encounter those missing travelers. They would appear and vanish mysteriously. One moment they're right before your eyes, the next they suddenly show up and even give you a shove. Sometimes when I led a group into the mountains, those travelers would pretend to bump into us, asking if they could join our journey. I dared not agree and quickly led the group away. The elders used to say that there is a thing called the Chang ghost. When a tiger demon kills a person, that person transforms into a Chang ghost, roaming about to seek prey for the tiger demon, luring people to one place so that the prey would, in turn, become a new Chang ghost. But dealing with the Chang ghost is simple enough. As long as you refuse its demands, it won't do anything to you. Suddenly, Qi Wu understood. He had wondered earlier why, in such a vast forest, there were so few hunters and why those few lived together. It turned out they were forced together by the tiger demon. Seeing Yu hesitate, Qi Wu said, "Yu, if you have any questions, just ask." At first, Yu felt too embarrassed to speak his mind, but since the boss said so, he couldn't hold back any longer. "I have only one question. Does this Chang ghost have a female counterpart? Is she attractive? Does she use her charms to seduce? Does she absorb a man's yang energy? Is there any chance that I might start a forbidden romance with her so we can hide from the tiger demon's pursuit and wander the Jianghu together?" With every question Yu asked, everyone looked utterly puzzled, even the old hunter. Seeing their reactions, Yu awkwardly scratched his head. "I've seen it written like this in those storybooks, a bewitching maiden ghost, an unfinished human ghost romance, and so on." After a moment of silence, Qi Wu patted Yu on the shoulder and said, "Maybe you should read fewer books." Then Qi Wu asked, "Then, old son, why don't you report this matter to the 5 great immortal sects? They defend the righteous path and surely wouldn't just stand by." "The 5 great immortal sects?" The old hunter looked completely puzzled, as if he had never heard the term. They are the renowned orthodox sects like Wendaozong, Xianxia, and 3 others, arguably the 5 most powerful sects on the entire continent. "I think I've heard that name before," the old hunter said uncertainly, not quite sure where he had heard it, perhaps in a tea house at the foot of the mountain, maybe from travelers entering the mountains, perhaps when he was young or even in his later years. "I can't really recall. In fact, the common folk know very little about cultivators. It's just a fascinating topic for gossip. Moreover, stories passed down by word of mouth are easily distorted. By the time they reach the ears of ordinary people, they often differ greatly from the truth and cannot be trusted. For example, Qi Wu had once heard that Wendaozong was named so because the immortal path is vast and one must seek answers from the heavens. Also, cultivating immortality is essentially about cultivating one's heart, constantly questioning whether one is pursuing the righteous path or the demonic path and never losing one's true self. Once, when Qi Wu encountered a disciple of Wendaozong, someone named Dai Bufan, and asked him why the sect was called Wendaozong, Dai Bufan's answer left a deep impression on him. "You ask about that? Then we must mention our founding patriarch, the Xiantian Taoist. In his search for a feng shui treasure land, our venerable patriarch spent a fortune hiring experts from Tian Suzong to perform geomantic calculations. Eventually, he found an immortal land where the feng shui of all 8 directions converged. He even said that for our sect to flourish continuously, a school must be established at a specific time and place. But it turned out that our patriarch was hopeless with directions. Even though he had marked the way, he still got lost. He had no choice but to ask a local farmer for directions, and only then did he find the sect's location without missing the appointed time. To thank the farmer, our patriarch named the sect Wendaozong. Chapter 43. You, Mountain God Grandpa? Does that mean this Wendaozong is really formidable? Asked the old hunter. Not Wendaozong, it's Wendaozong, Chiwu corrected his accent. Tomorrow, when we head to Qinghai Jun, we'll draft a letter and send it to the 5 great immortal sects, asking them to intervene. Chiwu had inquired about the procedure when he met Dai Bufan. At that time, he marveled that even local officials with little cultivation were so high and mighty, yet the sect disciples free from worldly concerns turned out to be even more approachable. However, Chiwu did not know Dai Bufan's position in Wendaozong. He assumed him to be an ordinary disciple. Had he known Dai Bufan's true identity and cultivation, his astonishment would have been far greater than mere marveling. The old hunter was overjoyed and quickly thanked Chiwu and the others, even saying that if they could truly deal with the tiger demon, he wouldn't even ask for travel expenses. Chiwu hastily replied, No. It wasn't that they didn't want to save money, it was just that they couldn't tell whether the old hunter was speaking politely or sincerely. Excuse me, having been caught in heavy rain while traveling, might I stay here for one night? A graceful figure broke through the rain curtain. Dressed in a green outfit and lotus skirt with a trace of sorrow in her brows, she made one involuntarily want to grant her request. Everyone turned to look at you. You said a female ghost would come, and now one really appears. Has your mouth been blessed with divine power or something? No. Chiwu immediately refused the request of the girl in green. Here, in a place with neither village nor inn in sight, such a beautiful woman suddenly appeared in the deep mountains. Coupled with what the old hunter had just said, it left little doubt in his mind. Most importantly, this girl in green was completely dry. Outside, the rain poured as if the heavens were splashing water. How could she possibly be dry? The girl in green frowned slightly, feeling that although these people appeared well-read, their words were extremely rude. You all are so unreasonable. Not to mention that this mountain god temple has no master, you're only taking shelter here, and now that it's pouring outside, do you expect me to keep up my magic to block the rain all night? Magic? Are you a cultivator? Chiwu spoke cautiously. Most cultivators are gentle with mortals, but if one truly angered them, who knows what might happen. He hesitated. However, the old hunter was resolute. Drawing on years of living in the mountains, he felt that there was definitely something off about this girl in green. Still, his tone was much more tactful. Dear cultivator, whether you are a cultivator or a lady, staying in the same temple with us 8 venerable fellows might not look good if word gets out. In that case, to the north there is a mountain path, and about halfway up that path is a wooden house that we hunters have set up temporarily. For someone of your stature, it's only a few steps away. The old hunter wasn't lying, there was indeed a wooden house there. However, since it couldn't accommodate so many people, he had brought Chiwu and the others to the mountain god temple to take shelter from the rain. The girl in green thought it over and felt the old hunter had a point. Though she was a woman who roamed the Jianghu without being overly fussy, if better options were available, why should she remain in this drafty temple? After she left, everyone heaved a long sigh of relief, fearful that she might transform into a tiger ghost and devour them. All right, everyone, let's sleep. We need to be well rested for an early start tomorrow, and I really don't want to come to this ghostly place a second time, Chiwu said, yawning with his eyelids drooping in exhaustion. Chiwu had intended to sleep with his head pointing inward, facing the mountain god statue, but he always felt something was amiss about that statue and dared not get too close. Instead, he arranged for everyone to sleep with their heads toward the door. After assigning pairs to keep watch during the night, everyone fell asleep. Once they were asleep, the eyes of the mountain god statue shifted and fixed their gaze downward, staring at the sleepers. No one noticed. Yu yawned, his eyes blurry as if he were about to doze off. He and another man were on the first watch of the night. So sleepy, I really want to sleep. Hang in there, you heard it too, this mountain isn't safe. Yeah, I can't sleep. I'm still waiting for the female ghost to attack me tonight. You're so average looking. Didn't you read that female ghosts prefer handsome guys? She should be attacking me instead. Female ghosts like scholars. You've only been reading for a few days, she prefers someone like me well-versed in the classics. The two whispered and argued about the supposed female ghost, growing more animated as they talked. Suddenly, a deep, low roar echoed. Not even the heavy rain and thunder could drown it out, and the two shuddered in fright. Just as they wondered if they were imagining things, another deep roar came, closer this time. "It's that tiger demon?" The two exchanged glances, fear written all over their faces. "Everyone, get up! There's a demon!" Ayu shouted urgently. The group sprang awake from their sleep, gripping their weapons tightly and staring fixedly outside the temple. Cold sweat streamed down their foreheads and their legs trembled uncontrollably. The roaring ceased, replaced by heavy, labored breathing, a sound that unmistakably hinted at an enormous creature. A shadow appeared amid the rain, growing larger and larger. With hearts pounding and hands trembling, everyone braced themselves. An immensely large tiger head emerged through the downpour, reaching toward the mountain god temple. Qiwu could even see each individual hair on its head, clear as day. The tiger demon strode its massive body into the temple, making everyone break out in a cold sweat. It turned out to be a 4-meter-long tiger. With a powerful push from its hind legs, the tiger demon astonishingly stood upright. "Old son, what do we do now?" Qiwu whispered. He knew that this tiger demon was not something that could be defeated with the wooden sticks they had. Unexpectedly, the old hunter walked straight toward the tiger demon, crouched down, and said, "Please, Tiger Lord, have a meal." Well done," the tiger demon replied in human speech, its true cultivation level unknown. Qiwu's eyes burned with anger. He almost wanted to tear the old hunter apart with his bare hands. It wasn't the girl in green who was a ghost, the old hunter who had been with them all along was. The tiger demon then flashed a human-like smile and sneered, "Originally, I didn't intend to eat you all. After all, you're so many, in wiping you all out, the attention from the outside world would be impossible to avoid. But you see, you even plan to inform the 5 great immortal sects about my affairs, so I can't let you live." As it spoke, the tiger demon grabbed the old hunter with one claw and said, "And your habit of being too talkative never changes. You insist on telling stories, forcing me to intervene. Do you want me to kill you again?" The old hunter pleaded repeatedly, promising he wouldn't do it again. The tiger demon snorted, "You did earn credit by driving away that female cultivator, offsets balance out. This time I won't punish you." Not one to toy with its prey, the tiger demon hovered close and scrutinized Qiwu. Its throat emitted a raspy, choked sound as if it held a mouthful of phlegm as it said, "You are the smartest among you. If you're willing to join my ranks, I can refine you into a Chang ghost, neither dead nor alive." By this point, Qiwu was no longer afraid. Pointing at the old hunter, he sneered coldly, "He's out there harming people just like you. I'd rather die than be like that." Bah! Refusing a toast and getting forced to drink a punitive one. The tiger demon, having never suffered such insults before, exploded in rage. Waves of sound emanated from it, shaking the temple roof as if it were about to collapse. No longer offering counsel, the tiger demon flung its blood-stained maw toward the group. Qiwu closed his eyes, bracing himself for death. At that moment, a gentleman's sword suddenly appeared between the tiger demon and Qiwu. Its gleaming blade burst forth like the morning sun, dazzling and brilliant, slicing across the tiger demon's cheek. "Who?" the tiger demon roared in fury. "You, mountain god grandpa." Chapter 44, A Gentleman Hides His Talents Within Him. Qiwu and the others watched in disbelief at the scene before them. The clay mountain god statue had come to life, wielding a sword to exorcise demons. "Look, the mountain god has manifested his divine power," you said in a daze. Qiwu was the first to react. "No, it's not the mountain god himself, it's someone hidden inside the statue." Indeed, during the fierce battle between the sword-wielding mountain god and the tiger demon, chunks of clay tumbled to the ground, revealing the true face of the one concealed within. It was Lu Yang. "Damn it, after 5 days, I finally got you. All those 5 days spent pretending to be a statue were not for nothing. Now, taste my sword." Lu Yang snarled furiously as he kicked out. A man as quick-witted and restless as he was loved to roam and hated staying still. This time, to avoid detection by the tiger demon, he had remained motionless inside the statue for 5 whole days. What an excruciating ordeal. Before the others could even react, the Wanwu mountain god statue also came to life, declaring, "Lu Yang, the two of us will lend you a hand." Meng Jingzhou and Man Gu burst forth from the clay statue, each displaying their unique skills as they set about eliminating the tiger demon. 5 days earlier, 3 uninvited guests had arrived at the mountain god temple. They swallowed a fasting pill, hollowed out the mountain god statue, and then crawled inside. The statue was several times larger than an ordinary person, more than enough to contain one. "Are you sure this method will work?" Meng Jingzhou and Man Gu asked Lu Yang with doubt. "Based on the intel brother Man Gu provided, our only option is to lie in wait, like waiting by a tree for a hare, and let the tiger demon come to feed." Let's get inside first. Mangu, lost in thought, wondered, could this be what the books meant by a gentleman hides his talents within him? Exactly. It must be so. Truly, reading 10,000 books is not enough without traveling 10,000 miles. Mangu exclaimed with delight. He had never understood the phrase before, but now having just completed a mission with Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou, he had gained such an insight. As the master said, to learn well, one must first find a good model to follow. The three chose their respective statues and, upon entering, assumed the same posture as the statue, revealing only a pair of eyes. Hey, can you hear me? Lu Yang used his mental technique to speak inwardly. The mental technique was a spell the three had just learned on the road at extremely close range. It allowed communication by thought alone without the use of spiritual power. It was simple to use once one had practiced a bit. We can hear you, replied Meng Jingzhou and Mangu in unison. Is the carriage all right? Meng Jingzhou asked, concerned about his own carriage and the old horse. They had entrusted the carriage to an inn in Yanjing so as not to alert the tiger demon to their whereabouts. Our information on the tiger demon is far too scant. What we do know is that this tiger demon's level is somewhere between early foundation establishment and early golden core. Cunning and cautious by nature, he fears injuring cultivators and attracting trouble, so he only feasts on mortals and spares cultivators. If a cultivator comes searching for him, he hides somewhere where no one can find him. In other words, he would never openly clash with cultivators. If he can avoid conflict, he will. The tiger demon managed to lurk on Xianxia for so long without being discovered by cultivators precisely because he avoids confrontation. That's why we need to hide ourselves in advance and wait for the tiger demon to come so we can eliminate him in one fell swoop. Since tiger and demon types are especially sensitive to spiritual energy, during our waiting period we must not use any spiritual power. It was precisely for this reason that they chose the mental technique, which required no spiritual power to activate. 5 days later. Good grief, after all these days, someone has finally arrived. Looks like a traveling merchant? Wait a minute, why is there an old hunter? Didn't we hear that because of the tiger demon, all the hunters on Xianxia had left? They had carefully investigated Xianxia. The locals said that the hunters on the mountain had long departed. No one had been heard of coming down to sell leather for ages. Chang Ghost. Through mental communication, the three instantly reached the same conclusion. This wasn't some old hunter leading the way, it was a Chang Ghost luring people here. They had been half convinced about the tiger demon matter, but now that they saw a Chang Ghost, it was clear that a tiger demon must be present on this mountain. Did you hear what the old hunter said? He lives with several other hunters and the traveling merchant leader found him there. It can't be a lie. Very likely, those few hunters are also Chang Ghosts, disguised as normal people to deceive travelers. That way, their story sounds convincing and prevents anyone from suspecting they are Chang Ghosts. Should we now move to eliminate the Chang Ghost? Meng Jingzhou was eager to act. Lu Yang held him back and analyzed, don't alert the enemy. Did you hear that someone named Qi Wu said he'd seek help from the 5 great immortal sects? Given the tiger demon's cautious nature, he will surely come to handle them. Let's wait quietly. Once the tiger demon appears, I'll strike, you two cover for me, and at the same time, drive these traveling merchants away from here. Alright. Did you hear the footsteps outside the temple? That probably isn't the tiger demon. Upon hearing that Qi Wu and the old hunter were driving away the girl in green, Mangu couldn't help but mutter, how foolish, if that female cultivator is around, the tiger demon won't come to kill. The tiger demon, fearing his existence will be exposed, might kill her, and if he doesn't, her sect will come after him. Either way, it's a dead end. The only solution is to send her away. See? I told you the Chang Ghost drove her off. Lu Yang remained calm. On the other hand, if the female cultivator stays, the tiger demon won't show up. So, how long are we to wait? Meng Jingzhou let out a soft and said, did you notice the jade pendant at the waist of the girl in green? What's so special about a jade pendant? Lu Yang and Mangu knew that many jade pendants were symbols of status, but they didn't know much about the specifics. That's the jade token of Yuelui Xian Gong. Yuelui Xian Gong, the one among the 5 great immortal sects. Between the central continent and the far north stretches a continuous range of snow-capped mountains running east to west. It snows year-round with few clear days. This mountain is said to be the highest peak of the central continent and the closest to the moon. Within those snowy mountains sits a breathtaking immortal palace, Yuelui Xian Gong. She must be at the foundation establishment stage. Later, when we clash with the tiger demon, let's make as much noise as possible so that she notices, see if she's willing to come to our aid. The other party is certainly not at the Golden Core stage. A cultivator at the Golden Core level from a sect could immediately see that the old hunter was a Chang ghost, unlike now when someone is said to have been deceived and led away. After a while, the three watched as Chi Wu and the others slipped into deep, peaceful slumber, so sound that it made them themselves feel sleepy. Mangu recited the sayings of the sages, using sheer willpower to ward off drowsiness. The sage said, "I examine myself thrice a day. Are you sleepy? I'm not. Are you sleepy? I'm not. Are you sleepy? I'm not." "Stop chanting that. Your chanting is making me drowsy even if I'm not sleepy," Meng Jingzhou chided, causing Mangu to pause as he yawned. "But I'm just reciting silently," Mangu replied via mental technique. "Listen carefully." Lu Yang, ignoring the banter between the two, forced himself to remain focused, ever alert to any sound outside. "There's something stepping on the weeds. The tiger demon is here." At Lu Yang's prompt, Meng Jingzhou and Mangu immediately snapped to attention, preparing for battle without any further delay. Finally, the wretched beast has arrived. Lu Yang no longer concealed his aura. His body trembled as he shattered the mountain god statue, grasped his Qi Feng sword, and unleashed its brilliant, radiant light that filled the entire temple. Chapter 45. Don't underestimate fried dough sticks as weapons. Lu Yang, sword in one hand, battled fiercely while grabbing Chi Wu by the neck with the other, hurling him backward. "There's a door at the back. Run, all of you." In the blink of an eye, Chi Wu was thrown 3 or 4 meters away. Just as he was about to hit the ground, an unseen force rose from beneath him and gently set him down safely. "Many thanks for your rescue, Immortal." Without another word, Chi Wu led Yu and the others in a hasty retreat, showing no hesitation. They had no idea about the true cultivation levels of Lu Yang and the tiger demon. All they knew was that when cultivators fight, win or lose, the battle would inevitably affect those around them. With their mortal bodies, even a mere brush could leave them bedridden for life or worse. The tiger demons first stood on end and the character, King, atop its head glowed faintly. It was determined to tear Lu Yang apart, its attack growing ever more vicious. "I'll help you." 2 other mountain god statues began to stir with sound. One figure emerged holding a scripture, appearing refined and scholarly. The other radiated an all-encompassing light, resembling an enlightened monk with an immeasurable golden body. Mangu lifted the scripture in his hand, but found it far too light. He quickly put it away and retrieved 2 copies of the Great Xia Dictionary from his robe. Nice feel. Since childhood, Mangu had been taught that the barbaric tribes were a fighting people. When it came to weapons, one should use whatever is handy. Anything that could be used as a weapon was fair game. And right now, the most handy weapons were books. Knowledge is power. He hefted the 2 dictionaries like bricks and smacked them against the tiger demon's forehead. The tiger demon was momentarily stunned. Never before had it encountered such a weapon. Meanwhile, Meng Jingzhou needed no weapon at all. His body was his strongest weapon. Transforming into a golden statue-like figure, he charged at the tiger demon. At the same moment, a Chang ghost standing behind the tiger demon let out a piercing wail and began to sizzle as smoke rose from its body. The pure young spiritual root worked wonders against ghosts. Frightened to the core, the Chang ghost no longer obeyed the tiger demon's commands. It bolted from the temple, vanishing into the relentless downpour. Never before had the tiger demon been so enraged. It didn't wish to get into conflict with cultivators, but that didn't mean it feared them. It could easily rip these heedless brats to shreds and flee elsewhere, leaving others to find it. What a pity for the feng shui treasure that was Song's Han. Recalling this, the tiger demon ceased its planned moves. With a fearsome roar, its tail swept toward Lu Yang. If Lu Yang continued to engage, he'd surely end up with grievous injuries. Thinking quickly, Lu Yang retracted his sword and stepped back. The tiger demon's tail slammed into the ground, causing the entire temple to tremble. The 3 exchanged grave looks. It's already formed a golden core phantom. When cultivators form their golden core, they first manifest a phantom. Transforming the phantom into reality marks their official entry into the golden core stage. Clearly, the tiger demon was in the midst of forming its golden core. Its strength was nothing to scoff at. I, a half-step golden core powerhouse, am insulted that a bunch of foundation establishment-level brats would dare harm me. Half-step golden core? Lu Yang glanced toward Meng Jingzhou, who explained in simple terms it means they haven't really formed their golden core yet, but they think highly of themselves. They refuse to be compared with foundation establishment-level folks, so they forced themselves into the golden core stage, but even golden core cultivators won't give them a second glance. It's pitiful. Good-natured Mangu added, "It's normal if you don't know, Lugu. Our senior brothers and sisters in the sect all scoff at that idea. Why go through the trouble of transitioning from phantom to real when the mediocre ones can just form their golden core directly?" The honest Lu Yang looked at the tiger demon with pity. Truly pitiful. Furious beyond measure, the tiger demon's eyes bulged red. Its proud cultivation had been degraded to nothing by these 3 little upstarts. And the worst part was those were their true thoughts. After all, they were merely acting. The tiger demon then unleashed its oppressive aura, trying to subdue the 3 before they could react. But to its surprise, none of them were affected. Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou even sneered, "We've already withstood the oppressive aura of ancient primordial beasts with dragon blood at the nascent soul stage. How could your aura affect us?" Man Gu didn't need to add a word. The ancient blood of the barbaric tribes had made him fearless of any oppressive force. In ancient times, his people roamed wildly without fear of heaven or earth. A true embodiment of raw barbarism. Abandoning its attempt to mimic the bipedal stance of humans, the tiger demon dropped its forelimbs and prostrated itself, its chin nearly brushing the ground, its tiger eyes fixed intently on the 3. Boom! With a powerful kick from its hind legs, like a cannonball, the tiger demon slammed toward the trio. Lu Yang's Qifeng sword was held horizontally across his chest as he barely managed to block the tiger demon's lethal claw. Lu Yang spun and retreated, finally relieving himself of the tiger demon's force. Unlike those painted-skin ghosts whose strength lay in their trickery and were easily overcome once their true form was revealed, the tiger demon was different. The demon clans were known for their brute physicality. The tiger demon's cultivation level nearly surpassed that of the 3 by an entire rank. The fact that Lu Yang managed to block its blow with a sword without being injured was no small feat. Meng Jingzhou and Man Gu attacked from the left and right. Runes within the tiger demon's blood began to shimmer, transforming into a gust of wind that soared above the 2 and then lashed out with a vicious grab. Cloud comes from the dragon, wind comes from the tiger. The tiger demon naturally wielded wind-based spells, an innate ability stemming from its bloodline. In midair, unable to gain leverage, Meng Jingzhou exchanged a palm strike with the tiger demon. At the same time, Man Gu held a dictionary in front of his chest as a shield. Half of it was torn to shreds by the tiger demon's claw. Seizing the moment, Lu Yang charged forward with his sword. His long blade, like a bolt of lightning, darted to the tiger demon's front in an instant, and he thrust several sword strikes. Alas, the tiger demon's thick fur rendered Lu Yang's sword utterly unable to pierce it. Just as the tiger demon was about to burst into a laugh, mocking Lu Yang for overestimating himself, claiming his blows couldn't even breach its defenses, it suddenly erupted with several streams of sword chi from within, causing it to bleed profusely. The burst occurred exactly where Lu Yang's sword had struck. Dark, potent sword chi? Lu Yang didn't need to pierce his opponent. His aim was to inject his sword chi into the tiger demon's body. This was where demon clans fell short compared to body cultivators. Although demons might appear tough on the outside, their internal organs and blood were astonishingly fragile. The tiger demon fell back, unwilling to engage in a head-on clash with Lu Yang's sword any longer. But Lu Yang was relentless. After his right-hand sword swing was dodged by the tiger demon, he reached into his other hand and produced a fried dough stick, a youtiao, and smacked it squarely onto the tiger demon's head. Originally, the tiger demon would have dodged such an attack. However, upon seeing that its opponent had pulled out a fried dough stick, it relaxed for a split second, secretly amused, thinking the guy must be a kid who'd resorted to anything in a pinch. Then it was completely stunned by the unexpected blow. What kind of fried dough stick is this? Taking advantage of the tiger demon's dazed state for a few precious seconds, Meng Jingzhou transformed his body to resemble a mountain and rammed his shoulder into the demon's waist. The tiger demon, though seemingly shrewd and experienced, was riddled with weaknesses. It adhered to a principle of non-violence, preferring to escape rather than fight, and had hardly ever clashed with anyone during its cultivation. The tiger demon staggered from the impact. Man Gu then lunged forward and smashed his hand directly toward the tiger demon's eye. The tiger demon hastily turned its head to avoid the blow, but ended up with a chunk of its fur torn away from its cheek. Instinctively, the tiger demon swung its tail in a wide arc, catching Man Gu. Man Gu, however, stepped in the direction of the tail's swing and managed to avoid serious injury. In a heartbeat, Lu Yang unleashed several sword strikes, interspersing them with more blows from the fried dough stick. The tiger demon was forced into a continuous retreat. After a fierce exchange, the 3 suddenly gained the upper hand. Realizing that his young opponents, though low in cultivation, possessed an unexpectedly deep underlying foundation, surely backed by a powerful force, sparked a desire in the tiger demon to retreat. The 3 would never allow the tiger demon to escape. If it were set free today, who knew how many people it would harm tomorrow? It simply couldn't be allowed to run away. You're going too far. The tiger demon roared in anger, its fury uncontained. The 3 could sense that it was fighting for its life, so they tensed up in secret vigilance. Its eyes bulged as it roared toward the outside of the temple, then, unleashing a final move, it cried out, "Wifey, someone's trying to kill me." Chapter 46, The 10-Ox Strength Pill. Before the three could even react, amidst the pattering rain came the sound of trees crashing down as if something were speeding through the downpour, racing here. Boom! A huge object in the rain did not slow down at all. It smashed through a wall of the mountain god temple, putting the entire structure on the verge of collapse. A dazzling, fierce-looking tiger, slightly smaller in size than the tiger demon, blocked the three's path. Though smaller, its presence exuded an even more savage aura. In this mountain, there were a male and a female tiger, 2 tigers. This was an entirely unexpected turn of events. Information about the demonic beasts of Songshan was so scarce that until now, no one was even sure whether any demon clan creatures lurked here, let alone 2. "Wifey, let's attack together," the male tiger demon roared. Although the female tiger demon was only slightly inferior in strength, with cultivation at the late Foundation establishment stage, the 2 demons were confident they could easily overwhelm 3 human cultivators. "Trash," the female tiger demon hissed under her breath, shaming the male. With both demons attacking simultaneously, the pressure on the 3 increased dramatically. "Focus on the one with the sword, he's the hardest to deal with," the male tiger demon bellowed. Instantly indignant, Meng Jingzhou surged forward to make his presence known. "What do you mean? Am I not as good as him? Originally, I thought you, demon, had some eye for talent. But it turns out you not only fear your mate but can't even tell the strength of your enemy. You're utterly disgraceful. What kind of demon dares to claim the mountain with skills like that? Just look at my golden body, clanging solidly. My defense at our level is unbeatable. You couldn't even break through my defense." After a brief pause, the male tiger demon grumbled, "Attack that one radiating golden light, he's the most annoying." With a powerful swipe, the 2 tiger demons smashed Meng Jingzhou directly against the wall, leaving him sprawled in a shape resembling the Chinese character Big. Both tiger demons furrowed their brows, sensing that the impact didn't feel quite right. Peeking out from Meng Jingzhou's chest was a shattered flatbread, cracked into pieces as if it were a once-whole pastry, now missing roughly a quarter of its form. That missing piece, it turned out, had been eaten by Meng Jingzhou himself. Frankly, the taste was pretty good. Just as Meng Jingzhou prepared to counterattack, a graceful figure in a green robe burst into the temple. She seized the old hunter by the neck and rapidly chanted a mantra of rebirth, annihilating the notorious old hunter who had caused countless mischief. It was the same girl in green who had earlier come seeking shelter from the rain. The girl in green, upon seeing the 2 opposing sides and Meng Jingzhou embedded in the wall, looked momentarily astonished. Hearing the commotion of battle nearby, she had rushed over to see what was happening, only to encounter the old hunter in his true form. Without a second thought, she snatched the old hunter and dragged him over, not expecting things to be so lively here. For aiding the tiger demon. Seeing the tiger demon and the Chang ghost, she quickly deduced what must have transpired. "Wen Daozong, Lu Yang." Lu Yang swiftly announced his identity. "Yuelui Xian Gong, Lanting." The girl in green exchanged a glance with Lu Yang. After stating her name, she quickly composed herself and leapt into the fray. After all, as members of the 5 great immortal sects, they were obliged to help one another. Lanting formed a hand seal and recited an incantation. A nimble white silk ribbon wrapped around her arm and drifted behind her. Her movements were as light as those of a moon palace fairy dancing under the moonlight, exquisitely beautiful. All flash and no substance, the female tiger demon sneered at Lanting's technique as she charged forward, determined to tear this hypocritical human to shreds. Without a word, Lanting lightly tapped her toes, brought 2 fingers together, and pointed at the female tiger demon. The white silk ribbon snapped taut, transforming into a sword that stabbed straight toward the demon's brow. The female tiger demon suffered a heavy setback immediately upon engaging, yet she remained unafraid and mocked, just a cultivator at the early Foundation establishment stage. Though she said that, the female tiger demon still dared not be careless. Battling a human cultivator from a major sect meant that one misstep could lead to death. Lanting might not have been able to defeat the female tiger demon outright, but she could at least keep her entangled for a while. Meanwhile, on the other side, the situation resurfaced where the 3 from Wendaozong were dueling the male tiger demon. Lu Yang's swordsmanship was cunning and unpredictable, leaving the tiger demon struggling to defend itself. Mangu had rescued the now handy Meng Jingzhou from the wall, forcing the tiger demon to retreat repeatedly. As for Meng Jingzhou, well, he wasn't really thinking much of himself as a weapon. Seeing this, the tiger demon's forehead, the character emblazoned there, glowed even brighter. The concealed blood of the vicious beast Xianxia within its body was activated. Its fangs and claws lengthened, and its aura became even more savage. What luck, so it has Xianxia blood. Lu Yang remarked in exasperation. Does this demon really have that many hidden tricks? Is it our bad luck, or are the demon clans just naturally that formidable? Lu Yang couldn't help but recall what the senior sister had once said about the coming Great Era. When the Great Era arrives, all manner of demons, ghosts, and monsters will emerge to share the spoils of the central continent. Though the tiger demon's abilities were still far from matching the scale of the Great Era's conflicts, its appearance was a modest sign that the Great Era had indeed begun. Once its Xianxia blood was activated, the tiger demon completely lost its rationality and fought purely on instinct, its eyes bloodshot, descending into madness, yet its combat prowess increased dramatically. The barbaric blood within Man Gu stirred in response, awakening as well. His strikes with Meng Jingzhou grew ever more powerful. We can't delay any longer, Lu Yang thought silently. There was no telling what other tricks this tiger demon might still have up its sleeve. It would be best to resolve everything quickly. With that in mind, Lu Yang flipped his hand and pulled out a single golden pill. This was the very pill he had obtained after completing the Painted Skin Ghost mission, a pill known as the 10 Ox Strength Pill. By consuming this pill, one could gain the power of 10 oxen. The alchemists at the Danding Peak, though rather unreliable when it came to refining poisons or pills, never compromised on the potency of their medicinal elixirs. This pill was undoubtedly a top-tier explosive-type pill. With his sword cultivation and the added 10 ox power, not only would he be able to contend with even a trace of Xianxia blood in the tiger demon, but he'd dare to challenge a pure-blood Xianxia as well. Taking advantage of Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou holding back the male tiger demon, Lu Yang no longer hesitated. He swallowed the pill in one gulp. It's so hot, so burning. Swallowing the pill felt like ingesting a ball of flames. The heat seared through his stomach fiercely. Lu Yang closed his eyes and sensed his dantian beginning to burn. A continuous surge of power erupted from within, forming lines that emerged on his skin. Man Gu noticed the change in Lu Yang. At that moment, red lines traced across Lu Yang's body, resembling the image of a barbarian warrior from the ancient texts, one who dared to battle heaven and earth. Such strength! Even Man Gu, a man of rough manners, could feel the immense power welling up from Lu Yang's core. This force was utterly unparalleled for someone at the Foundation establishment stage. The male tiger demon tried to block Lu Yang's transformation, but Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou cooperated to hold it back. When Lu Yang opened his eyes again, a trace of doubt flickered within them. The power was indeed surging, but it seemed as though most of it was spilling outwards, leaving only a little retained within his body. The red lines spread from Lu Yang's body toward the ground, forming a strange, circular pattern. Soon, a plume of thick smoke rose from the earth, obscuring everything. The smoke came and went quickly. When it finally cleared, 10 water buffalo appeared before everyone. These 10 water buffalo were clearly at the Foundation establishment stage. Lu Yang, the male tiger demon? Everyone present was stunned by this sudden turn of events, completely baffled as to what had just happened. Damn your 10 ox strength pill? It turned out that this pill wasn't meant to simply enhance his strength, it was a pill embedded with the summoning formation. These 10 water buffalo seemed to understand why Lu Yang had summoned them. With their hoofs scrabbling on the ground, their eyes reddened, they bellowed a mighty moo and charged straight at the tiger demon. Chapter 47, The Breaking Character Technique. Danding Peak. We alchemists must learn to break through the confines of conventional thinking. A pill need not merely enhance the strength of its taker, for example, the 10 ox strength pill that I have refined. Wu Ming expounded confidently at the Danding Academy, explaining the principles of alchemy in clear, accessible terms. The disciples below scribbled down notes rapidly. Such precious insights into alchemy were rarely heard in the outside world. Outside, alchemists strictly adhere to the tradition of inheritance, what is known as teaching the disciples until the master starves, making it extremely difficult to learn the principles of alchemy externally. In contrast, Danding Peak was different. They were more than willing to impart everything they knew, eagerly sharing all their ideas with the new junior disciples. Conversely, the outside world's alchemists were bound by tradition, insisting that the methods of the ancestors must remain unaltered, which made it very hard for outsiders to grasp Danding Peak's approach. Seeing his junior disciples intently listening, Wu Ming felt a swell of pride. This generation of Wendaozong had not only recruited Lu Yang, Meng Jingzhou, Man Gu, Tao Yaoyi, and Li Haoran, the 5 prodigies whose extraordinary talents had stolen the limelight and inadvertently caused others to be overlooked, but also many other disciples with dual or triple spiritual roots, or who possessed unique skills. These others would form the backbone of Wendaozong in the future. The students attending this lecture were those among the new generation who had chosen to study under Danding Peak. They had been learning there for over a year and were still exploring the art of alchemy. Many cultivators have the habit of taking pills just before battle, triggering a burst of power several times their normal strength, catching their opponents off guard and securing victory. Victory is certainly desirable, but such a method forces multiple times one's power to surge through one's meridians. Our meridians are narrow, a reckless impact can severely damage them, indeed, it may even harm one's foundation, impeding future cultivation. As alchemists, our duty is to heal and save lives, so we must strive to prevent such outcomes. To that end, I devoted myself to research and even visited a friend next door who was an expert in summoning formations. Finally, I succeeded in developing this 10-ox strength pill. This pill contains a miniature summoning formation. When ingested, it uses the body as a medium to summon 10 water buffalo to aid in battle. One attentive and endearing junior sister asked, "Senior brother Wu, from where are these 10 water buffalo summoned?" Wu Ming smiled and replied, "They are called forth from the spiritual fields. Most of the food served in the dining halls and restaurants is grown in Wendaozong's own spiritual fields. Producing such high-quality rice and other crops demands excellent soil, superior fertilizer, and advanced farming techniques. Among those who toil in the spiritual fields is the blue-eyed water buffalo clan, a group of immensely strong creatures whose prowess spans from the chi refinement stage to the nascent soul stage, and even includes a fearsome old bull king at the spirit transformation stage. It is said that in their youth, the three elders, driven by youthful passion, once went to the spiritual fields, shoved the buffalo aside, and toiled the land themselves for an entire night. The buffalo in question being none other than those of the blue-eyed water buffalo clan. This clan is famed for butting heads with their horns. Accordingly, I contacted them to see if they might be summoned during battle, and they agreed without hesitation. Being an alchemist, you must, like me, put yourself in the shoes of the pill taker. Consider why they take pills, whether there are side effects, and if a better solution might exist. Wu Ming later compiled his results on refining the 10-ox strength pill into a paper and submitted it to the authoritative treatise Danhua in the realm of pills. So astonishing were his out-of-the-box ideas that the editor of Danhua was so impressed he promptly shifted the submission to the leading work in the field of summoning formations. It has now been successfully published. Wu Ming also knew that his ideas were far ahead of their time and that cultivators would need a period of adaptation. For this reason, he priced the foundation establishment, level 10-ox strength pill very low, only 100 contribution points. Consider that even the fried dough sticks sold in the dining hall cost 150 contribution points. He even clearly marked on the exchange list that ingesting this pill grants the power of 10 oxen, demonstrating remarkable foresight. Lu Yang fell into deep thought. If you claim that this pill is fake, then indeed it does enable its user to gain the power of 10 oxen. The description and effect are entirely as stated, with no exaggeration at all. Yet, if you assert that the pill is genuine, there is always something that seems amiss. What exactly is the problem? He just couldn't figure it out. The 10 Foundation establishment, stage water buffalo, fat and robust, charged in unison toward the tiger demon with an imposing presence. Facing these formidable creatures, even if the tiger demon were at the half-step golden core stage, or even at full golden core, it wouldn't dare to allow itself to be struck by such a herd. No matter how much the tiger demon prided itself on raw strength, it simply could not match the power of these bull demons. In short, although Danding Peak might be somewhat unreliable, their pills never faltered in efficacy. The 10 summoned buffalo would undoubtedly overcome the tiger demon. Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou, seeing this, couldn't help but relax their guard. The outcome of the battle was already decided. The tiger demon was powerless to turn the tide. Its eyes bulged, and its fur bristled as if it knew it could not defeat these 10 water buffalo. Since that is so, then I'll just take someone down with me, it seemed to resolve. At that very moment, with a tremendous boom, the mountain god temple collapsed. The temple, already teetering on the brink, crumbled at the mere collision of the 10 water buffalo. For a moment, smoke and heavy rain mixed together, obscuring all vision. Seizing the opportunity, the tiger demon propelled itself with all 4 limbs, leaped high to evade the buffalo's attack, and suddenly lunged toward Lu Yang with a speed like a bolt of thunder. "That damned human, he must die," it roared. But the water buffalo, heavy and clumsy, were not adept at jumping and failed to react to the sudden change. Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou cried out in alarm. They had let their guard down and were now too late to save Lu Yang. Everyone present was thrown into panic, yet Lu Yang remained calm. He had long suspected that the tiger demon would fight to the death, even if it meant mutual destruction. After all, a battle with a cornered beast is the most perilous of all. Without dodging or flinching, Lu Yang activated his shrink to an inch spell, reducing both himself and his sword in size. The tiger demon lunged and missed. Lu Yang moved directly beneath it, then restored his form to normal. Science spiritual energy flowed along his sword's blade, eventually converging at the tip. Break. Lu Yang unleashed the breaking character technique. His Qifeng sword, razor-sharp and unstoppable, pierced through the tiger demon's thick fur with a sputtering sound, impaling its abdomen, the blood-stained sword tip emerging from its back. This was a sword move he had learned on Tian Peak. Among all sword techniques, it was the most aggressive, capable of draining over half of the enemy's spiritual energy in a single blow and thus could not be used lightly. In the earlier skirmish, Lu Yang had already identified the tiger demon's weak point, the very center of its abdomen where its defenses were the poorest. Lu Yang then released his sword Qi, fine, bull hair, thin strands of deep blue energy erupted from within the tiger demon as if countless needles were piercing it. Inside the tiger demon, a crackling sound, like firecrackers going off, echoed along its spine, surging upward toward its crown. Blood gushed from all its orifices and the tiger demon collapsed to the ground. Exhausted and panting, Lu Yang leaned against a wall and signaled for Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou to assist Lanting in exorcising the demon. The female tiger demon, upon seeing her mate's death, grew even more ferocious and prepared to fight to the death. Lanting barely managed to hold back this cornered beast. Before Man Gu and Meng Jingzhou could engage in further combat, the water buffalo demon turned and charged at the female tiger demon. Failing to evade in time, the female tiger demon was trampled and battered by the water buffaloes until her flesh was a bloody mess. The battle was over. Lanting opened her mouth, and as she recalled the various bizarre rumors about Wendaozong that her senior sisters had once mentioned, she who had once been skeptical now found herself believing them about 70%. Chapter 48, The Nest. The 10 water buffalo, seeing that the battle was over and that they were no longer needed, vanished into thin air, returning to the spiritual field. How are you holding up? Can you get up? Man Gu stepped forward with concern. That decisive, deep blue sword strike of Lu Yang's had utterly won him over. Even though both Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou had assisted by injuring the tiger demon, Man Gu suspected that even without their help, Lu Yang's single sword blow would have been enough to slay it. Lu Yang ingested a packet of recovery powder, and in no time his breathing returned to normal, with his aura steadily rising, a pace far swifter than a few pellets of recovery powder could achieve. I should have bought recovery pills instead. This powder is so lackluster, Lu Yang muttered. He then activated the condensing water technique. A small orb of water materialized at his fingertip, extending into a water column about 2 fingers wide, which he promptly swallowed. Were you just using the De Shao Rui technique? Meng Jingzhou asked, noticing how Lu Yang suddenly shrank and then expanded. The move looked very familiar, like the spell called De Shao Rui that one of their uncles once employed. Yet, as far as Meng Jingzhou knew, that spell was extremely difficult to cultivate, its threshold so high that no one below the Golden Course stage could master it. Something similar, I used a spell called Xianxia, Lu Yang explained. Xianxia? Meng Jingzhou's mind was flooded with questions. As a member of the Meng family, he had heard of every spell, but this Xianxia was completely unfamiliar. Could it be a technique uniquely devised by senior sister Yunji? That would indeed make sense. Just then, a graceful figure in green approached. I, the humble Lanting, have met with you 3 Taoist friends, she said elegantly. We are all disciples of Wendaozong. This is Meng Jingzhou and this is Man Gu, Lu Yang introduced, explaining that in the earlier urgency he had only introduced himself. Ah, so you are Brother Meng and Brother Man? Lanting replied with evident refinement. Even when facing ordinary mortals like Qi Wu earlier, she had not driven them away. Instead, she had taken shelter in the mountain god temple. Many thanks, Taoist Lanting, for your assistance. Had those 2 tiger demons attacked together, it would have been an enormous headache and our mission might have failed, Lu Yang said graciously, though in truth the 3 still held some trump cards. So, this is your mission, Lanting remarked simply. Her own descent from the mountain was also to complete a secret assignment. Being unfamiliar with the area and having come down only at night in the rain while seeking shelter, she hadn't expected to be embroiled in such turmoil. I do have some skill in rune magic, Lanting continued, and these tiger skins look rather fine. Might you part with them and give them to me? Of course, Lu Yang replied with a smile. If there's anything else you need, feel free to take it. Although tiger skins were valuable compared to the help Lanting had rendered, they were a minor matter. Lanting shook her head, making no further request. Having grown up in the wilderness with his parents, Man Gu was no stranger to skinning. With his 2 fingers held together, sharper than any pig-slaying knife, he swiftly removed 2 complete tiger skins in just a few strokes. After Lanting accepted the tiger skins, she courteously bid farewell to Lu Yang and the others, then disappeared deep into the forest. Her senior sisters had once warned her that if her psychological fortitude was not strong enough, she should not rashly approach Wendaozong disciples, lest she risk being assimilated. Jingzhou, do you want some tiger bones and tiger whips? Lu Yang asked. Meng Jingzhou was utterly confused. What would I need tiger bones and tiger whips for? Lu Yang grinned mischievously for enhancing virility. Get lost, Meng Jingzhou retorted. After all, with his pure yang spiritual root, did he really need any extra virility? Besides, how much more could his body even handle? Keep these 2 tiger demon bodies safe, they are critical evidence for our mission, Lu Yang said as he produced his identity jade pendant. With a simple swipe of his thumb, the corpses were absorbed into the pendant, which also doubled as a storage ring. Let's move out. When the female tiger demon arrived, she made quite a clamor, knocking over many trees. We can follow the trail she left behind in reverse and should be able to locate their lair. The 2 tiger demons had long held dominion over Songshan, so they surely had a nest. The heavy rain posed no trouble for the 3, a simple rain shield spell sufficed. Following the fallen trees and shattered boulders, they soon discovered the tiger demon's lair, a dark cave about 3 meters high, its interior utterly black. Does anyone have a torch? Mangu asked. It's pitch black in here, and there could be traps. He recalled reading that such eerie caves were ideal for contraptions. A misstep on a hidden brick might trigger arrow-like spikes from the walls, impaling one like a wasp's nest, or perhaps a sudden burst of toxic gas would emerge. Or even rolling boulders might crush an unwary traveler. Who sets up so many traps at home? Are you afraid it'll be too easy to get back? Lu Yang remarked with exasperation, thinking that Mangu always let his mind wander into odd ideas. Nonetheless, a torch was essential to capture the true spirit of an adventure. Outside, the rain poured in torrents. Inside the cave, as the 3 held their torches and discovered treasure, the atmosphere was thrilling. Who goes out carrying a torch for no reason? Meng Jingzhou grumbled. After all, they were cultivators, fully capable of using fire control spells. You have to think outside the box, Lu Yang countered. Producing a youtiao from his pouch, he struck a spark onto it. In an instant, the entire fried dough stick burst into flame, and it looked as if it would burn for quite some time. Unafraid of the heat, Lu Yang held the blazing youtiao aloft with a proud smile. Truly, the supplies from the dining hall were versatile, not only edible and usable in combat but also as makeshift torches. Mangu was suddenly enlightened. Following brother Lu truly meant learning something new. Lu Yang led the way, torch or rather, burning youtiao in hand, with Mangu and Meng Jingzhou following closely behind. There were no traps as Mangu had imagined, there was only the lair of a beast. Among the spoils were the traveling merchants' rare treasures, scholars' collections of classics, and martial warriors' secret manuals, items that did not have to be handed over to the sect, but were instead their own loot. Jewelry and antiques, Meng Jingzhou, who had seen the most among them, took charge of appraising their origins. A teacup 100 years old isn't worth much, he noted. For cultivators, 100 years passed in the blink of an eye, and even an ordinary household item might boast a century of history. In the realm of cultivation, antiques were among the least valuable items, only ordinary mortals cared for them. A rusty iron blade, what does the tiger demon need with that, to sharpen its teeth? Meng Jingzhou shook his head. Lu Yang mused to himself, don't underestimate the rusty iron blade, one strike from it might give you tetanus, believe it or not. Xianxia? I recall that's a folk martial art mimicking animal movements, Meng Jingzhou remarked as he flipped through a few pages. Lacking interest, he tossed the book to Lu Yang. Lu Yang, however, was a bit intrigued and planned to practice it when he had time in the coming days. Shengren Yen, Meng Jingzhou sneered repeatedly. What use would 2 beasts have for Shengren Yen? They're still beasts, after all. Shengren Yen was the introductory text for Confucian cultivators, recording the earnest teachings of the sages, a text Mangu had committed to memory and deeply understood. Mangu carefully put the book away, not because it was especially valuable, but because its status was extraordinary and it deserved to be properly preserved as a mark of respect for the sages. There's a letter here, was it addressed to the tiger demon? Chapter 49, Demon Cult. Who in their right mind would write a letter to the tiger demon? Isn't the creature supposed to always hide from cultivators, never letting them know its whereabouts? None of the 3 could understand, given the tiger demon's cautious nature, no outsider should be aware of its existence. Niani, what does the letter say? Clearing his throat, Meng Jingzhou read out in a voice filled with emotion. Dear Tiger Brother, it has been many days since we last met. How have you been lately? Tiger Brother, you are ever so cautious, refusing to show your face and letting only ordinary mortals suffer while keeping your existence hidden from orthodox cultivators. I admire your methodical, step-by-step approach to cultivation, but in the end such methods are too slow. Now, with the great era looming and heroes rising everywhere, with all manner of forces eyeing the central continent, aren't you seizing this very opportunity to leave your homeland, break away from the Xianxia lineage, and slip into Songshan from the demon domain? Cautious is fine and all, but don't crowd me. Am I not allowed to read it aloud for you? Lu Yang and Man Gu shoved Meng Jingzhou aside so they could get a better look at the letter's contents. You're reading too slowly. Let me read faster, make way. Pushing the two away, Meng Jingzhou continued reading. Though caution is not a grave fault, in this time of a resurgent great era, only those who are bold can seize opportunity, who dare to fight with all their might, purify their bloodline, and transform into pureblood Xianxia. Only then can one secure a place in this new era. Permit me, if I may, to boldly suggest that, Tiger Brother, you and your spouse join my Yanjing Dui, where we hunt cultivators and conspire to achieve great things. The letter contains my personal token. Tiger Brother, you may directly use my token to seek me out at Yanjing Dui, and I shall personally recommend you for the position of steward. Your humble brother Qin Yuanhao pays his respects. The letter was brief, yet it revealed a great deal. Analyzing it, Lu Yang remarked, the letter states that the tiger demon does not let orthodox cultivators know of its existence. That's not how people normally speak. No one would directly refer to orthodox cultivators unless the writer stands opposed to them. Does this mean Qin Yuanhao is a demonic cultivator? This would also explain why some cultivators know of the tiger demon yet have not reported it. On the central continent, orthodox forces hold absolute sway, while demons, ghosts, and monsters are naturally allied. Take the tiger demon, for example, it does not harm cultivators directly but instead has Chong ghosts lure them in. The tiger demon, possessing Xianxia blood and firmly in the golden core stage, would naturally be a prime candidate for recruitment by demonic cultivators. So, does that mean the Yanjing Dui is a base of the demon cult? Meng Jingzhou nodded. Demon cults tend to use place names as their bases, though it's unclear which demon group claims this Yanjing Dui. Just as the orthodox cultivators have their 5 great immortal sects, demonic cultivators also have their own factions, the so-called 4 great demon cults. The demon cult is a religion rather than a mere sect. Its chief distinction lies in whether its followers believe in a powerful entity. The 4 demon cults do not all share the same beliefs. Some say they represent 4 celestial beings, while others claim the 4 beliefs are merely different incarnations of a single immortal. The theories abound. Demon cults reveal very little information to the outside world. Their movements are shrouded in mystery. Even joint searches by the Xia dynasty and the 5 great immortal sects have failed to locate the demon cult's main base. Whenever orthodox cultivators wipe out a large swath of demon cult bases, new demon cult members spring up like mushrooms after the rain. It seems endless. Though the demon cult is said to be mysterious, employing bizarre methods and ruthless tactics that strike fear into the hearts of many, the truth is that the orthodox forces are simply too strong, forcing the demon cultists to remain hidden and resort only to underhanded schemes. In fact, any time a demon cult lair is found, there is no need for the 5 great immortal sects to intervene. The Xia dynasty can dispatch troops and, in just 5 days, overturn the entire demon establishment, clearing out all their bases within a month. Such is the confidence of the orthodox. After all, the demonic path is ultimately something that cannot stand in the open. Lu Yang shook the envelope and produced a domino-like token from it. It bore a unique trace of true qi, a method left by that demon cultist Qin Yuanhao that no outsider could replicate. Mangu inquired, can we use this token to join the demon cult? They realized that infiltrating a demon cult base would be a major coup, far more valuable than simply exterminating 2 tiger demons. Lu Yang shook his head. No. If we use his token to join the Yanjing Dui, Qin Yuanhao will surely know who we are. And besides, we don't even know where the Yanjing Dui is located. How could we possibly join? What should we do then? Mangu asked. Since it's called Yanjing Dui, it should be in Yanjing June. We can go there and inquire, see if there's anyone named Qin Yuanhao. We could track him down, and then, if we can publicly declare ourselves his disciples before the tiger demon, and if our cultivation isn't higher than his, we can take him out. That way, we can directly use the token, claiming that we are old acquaintances of Qin Yuanhao coming to seek refuge with him. Of course, it's possible he's already dead. Good idea. Both Meng Jingzhou and Man Gu's eyes lit up. Let's keep looking, see if we can find anything else useful, Lu Yang urged eagerly, prompting Meng Jingzhou to continue searching. After a moment, Meng Jingzhou uncovered a palm-sized, blood-red herb that looked disturbingly demonic. Bishui grass? Why does it have red veins? Meng Jingzhou asked in confusion. Normally, Bishui grass is used primarily as an ingredient in detoxification pills, and its leaf veins are blue-green, like streams flowing across the land. So why is this one red? Lu Yang crouched down to examine it and then said, have you forgotten? For the human race, Bishui grass is mainly used as a key material for detox pills. But for demon clans, it serves a different purpose. Bishiwe grass has the effect of refining one's bloodline. It's possible that the tiger demon has long used its own blood to water and hasten the ripening of Bishiwe grass, causing the grass to adapt to Xianxia blood. In a few months, once the Bishiwe grass is fully matured and the tiger demon ingests it, its Xianxia blood will be refined further, enabling it to form a golden cord naturally. That is how Bishiwe grass came to be named. The character blood in its name reflects this process. I learned about Bishiwe grass from the Medicine King when I was young. Now, this particular Bishiwe grass can no longer be refined into a detox pill. It can only be used by demon clans to purify their bloodlines, Lu Yang explained. In that case, you should keep it and sell it at the sex market on the 15th of every month. It should fetch a good price. Meng Jingzhou handed the herb over to Lu Yang and Mangu. Within Wendaozong, many people keep demon beasts, so herbs that can enhance one's bloodline are in high demand. After some mutual polite refusals, Mangu ended up taking the Bishiwe grass without further ado. Meng Jingzhou warned him, "Don't you dare eat the Bishiwe grass. After all, the ancient barbarian clans are actually a branch of the human race and Bishiwe grass is useless for your bloodline." Mangu let out a regretful "oh" in response. Legend has it that the ancient barbarian clans originated from a romantic marriage proposal. In ancient times, humans still lived dispersed in tribes, and the strongest member of a tribe was called a warrior. One day, two tribes met. A male warrior from one tribe was smitten with a female warrior from the other, and he proposed, "Little lady, flash me a smile. If it delights me, I'll marry you." The female warrior giggled mischievously, grabbed a stone, and swung it back. The two wrestled, and in the end the female warrior prevailed, dragging the male warrior into her dwelling and keeping him awake through the night. 10 months later, the first barbarian warrior was born. Chapter 50. What did the sage say? Meng Jingzhou flipped over another tiger skin. The hide was old, apparently over 100 years in age, yet it was very well preserved. Tiny, densely inscribed characters covered its surface in such clarity that Lu Yang and Mangu craned their necks for a closer look, though they did not recognize the script. "This is demonic script, the internal writing of the demon clan," Meng Jingzhou explained as he happened to be familiar with it. The Fox clan, notorious for its debauched nature, expressed that same unruliness even in its writing. They frequently composed lewd books, and if someone were to engage in unspeakable acts with these texts, the author could absorb even a trace of yang energy. Consequently, most of the indecent books circulating in the central continent's markets are penned by Fox clan members. Despite the authorities' fervent campaigns, publicly decrying their harm and organizing periodic book burnings, these works continue to circulate on the black market, defying repeated bans. When Meng Jingzhou was young, he was quite fascinated by such books. Even though he did not yet understand what unspeakable truly entailed, he simply found the works intriguing. To read the originals, he even took it upon himself to study demonic script before he began cultivating. "You really love learning, don't you?" Lu Yang and Mangu marveled. After all, cultivation enhances memory, and mastering a new language shouldn't take long. But the fact that Meng Jingzhou had learned demonic script even before his cultivation days was nothing short of extraordinary. Without elaborating further on his reasons, Meng Jingzhou simply said he was interested in demon clan culture. Mangu admired him all the more. True to his reputation, Brother Meng was diligent without being boastful, humble in conduct, and noble in character, a model truly worth emulating. "What's written on this tiger skin?" Lu Yang inquired. "Let me see." "Apparitions of ghosts, he moves while Yang avoids." "This is a method for commanding ghost servants," Meng Jingzhou replied after a quick scan. In his mind, he rapidly calculated and deduced the manual's purpose. It appears the old hunter was created using this method. He continued, "There are specific requirements when refining such ghostly creatures. The cultivator's strength must differ by 2 major tiers, except when refining mortals. After reaching the 7th layer of chi refinement, one may refine a mortal's soul." He shook his head. "But the art of commanding ghost servants is rather trivial. Only those who are just 2 realms below you can be refined in this way. And even if you do refine a ghost servant, how could it possibly be effective in battle? For instance, in our earlier fight with the tiger demon, had a ghost servant appeared, it would have been nothing more than cannon fodder, posing no real threat. Shall I translate the entire text for you? This method doesn't seem to be restricted by race. Humans can cultivate it too, though the tiger demon appears to achieve the best results." Mangu had initially wanted to comment on the usefulness of learning this art, but then Lu Yang analyzed, "When we join the demon cult, demonic methods will be indispensable. This art of commanding ghost servants would serve perfectly as a facade. The old hunter's dwelling even has ready-made Chan ghosts. Translate the method inscribed on this tiger skin, and the 3 of us can study it together." Originally, Lu Yang had planned to eradicate the remaining Chang ghosts. Now, circumstances had changed. After utilizing the Chang ghosts, dispersing the souls wouldn't be too late. According to the tiger demon's own account, Chang ghosts willingly become servants after death, commanded as ghosts to prey on travelers. They all deserve to be slain. Very well, Meng Jingzhou agreed briskly. He spread out paper, ground ink, and with brush strokes as lively as dragons and snakes, he quickly transcribed the method of commanding ghost servants. I won't cultivate this myself, he declared. I have a pure yang spiritual root. When ghosts see me, it's like snow melting under the sun. I simply cannot practice such a purely yin-type technique. Lu Yang and Man Gu said no more and began practicing the method together. Before long, a chill wind stirred within the cave, accompanied by the faint, eerie wails of ghostly apparitions that brought an endless, bone-penetrating cold. Lu Yang suddenly felt his body grow weightless, his feet leaving the ground as if he were floating like a ghost. His mind became clearer than ever, his 5 senses were astonishingly acute, detecting even the slightest detail around him. He even sensed that Meng Jingzhou burned with an intensity akin to a roaring inferno. What's happening? Lu Yang wondered. Glancing down, he saw that his body was still sitting perfectly in its place. No, it's not that I can fly, it's that my soul has left my body, he exclaimed. Meng Jingzhou, alarmed by Lu Yang's odd state, cried out, only those at the nascent soul stage can have their soul leave their body and travel thousands of miles. How is it that you're experiencing this now? Quick, bring it back. You're only at the foundation establishment stage, you haven't yet refined your soul, and your spirit is extremely vulnerable. Once it's damaged, repairing it will be very difficult. Realizing the issue, Lu Yang chanted the incantation for commanding ghost servants, which restored his soul to its rightful place. How did you manage that? Meng Jingzhou asked in astonishment, for he had never heard of anyone at the foundation establishment stage daring to have their soul leave their body. There was simply no such spell. Lu Yang, equally perplexed, replied, I followed the method you wrote for commanding ghost servants. I thought I understood it completely, so I just tried to operate it to see what would happen, and this is the result. Meng Jingzhou looked at him with a strange expression. Could it be that you treated your own soul as a ghost servant, controlling yourself? He had never heard of anyone cultivating in such a manner, but given the current situation, that seemed to be the only explanation. Lu Yang thought it over but could not imagine any alternative. He even instructed Meng Jingzhou to keep his distance, and after several more attempts, with the same outcome, his soul again leaving his body, Lu Yang muttered, "What's wrong with my magical aptitude?" At a loss, the two decided to wait until Man Gu awoke to see if his condition was the same. When Man Gu finally opened his eyes, he found Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou watching him expectantly, which left him utterly confused. "Have you mastered the art of commanding ghost servants?" Man Gu inquired. "I've gained a bit of insight, enough to command the souls of 8 mortals," came the reply. "Can you command your own soul to leave your body?" Lu Yang asked hopefully, wanting Man Gu to affirm it so as to prove that he hadn't mispracticed the technique. Man Gu's confusion deepened. "How could that be? This is the art of commanding ghost servants? Are you saying one can treat one's own soul as a ghost servant and control it?" Meng Jingzhou then recounted Lu Yang's learning process, which filled Man Gu with admiration. Brother Lu's mind was remarkably agile and his talent for learning spells was unparalleled. Brother Meng was equally brilliant and erudite. Along the way, Lu Yang had absorbed so much knowledge, it was as if he had internalized the very words of a sage. What did the sage say again? Lu Yang mused. "Oh, right, the sage said, in the company of 3, all of them are my teachers." "Let's go find the Chang ghosts now," Meng Jingzhou said, noting that there was nothing worthwhile left to scavenge in the cave. He urged his companions to leave. "You two go ahead, I have some matters to attend to. I'll catch up with you later," Lu Yang instructed, and Meng Jingzhou and Man Gu departed from the tiger lair without further hesitation. Once they were sure the two had left, Lu Yang's smile faded as his expression gradually became calm. He ventured deeper into the cave and saw a small mound of bones piled high. Sighing softly, he murmured, "Just as I suspected, they're all here." Observing the assorted items, Lu Yang speculated that given the tiger demon's cautious nature, after devouring its victims it would never discard the bones outside. Such an act would too easily expose it. The prudent move was to keep the evidence of its massacre hidden within the cave. And reality confirmed his theory. These poor souls from various places who had wandered through Songs On and were deceived and devoured for one reason or another had all ended up in the small, gloomy cave. Lu Yang said no more. With his Qifeng sword, capable of slicing through iron like mud, he effortlessly carved out a large chunk of rock from the cliff. He smoothed the stone slab, silently recited the reincarnation mantra, and erected a tombstone in honor of these unfortunate souls. After a brief moment of silence, as if lost in thought, he turned and left. Thanks for waiting. Let's go, Lu Yang called to his two companions, signaling them to depart from that unpleasant place. That concludes today's epic story from Xianxia Webnovel Audio. If you found the journey as thrilling as we did, please hit like, subscribe to our channel, and enable notifications for more mystical adventures. We're excited to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below about your favorite part. See you in the next chapter.